Hello friends! Today I just wanted to take a minute to sit down and have a chat about fitness and mental health. It is the time of year when a lot of people struggle more with their mental health because the holidays could just be a whole shindig full of stress and anxiety and lots of other things for a lot of people. And additionally, this time of year, there's just less daylight, which can very easily contribute to a decline in mental health. So I wanted to make a little video on fitness tips that I can give you to help you boost your mental health if you are feeling the slump that is this time of year. I know I'm feeling it a little bit. I have been implementing these tips to make sure I'm just staying as mentally healthy as I can. So hopefully some of these tips will help some of you guys. And the way I did this video is I broke it down to ideas of the concept of what needs to happen, and then specific small action items that you can implement. And it is a long list of potential action items, but I think a great way to approach it is if you are struggling a little bit with mental health, maybe pick one or two or three. Don't pick 10 and try to do them all at once, because that's just going to be really overwhelming if you're not coming from a super mentally healthy place. It can be really hard to try to implement everything all at once. So just watch this video, pick a couple things that you think are going to be easiest for you to implement, and then start there. And then if you start feeling better and you want to incorporate more, fantastic. But each one of these action items should help make a small difference for you. And before I dive in, I do want to give a quick disclaimer that I don't want this to come across like I am saying these things are going to cure depression or cure your anxiety or anything like that. I'm not saying you should be doing these things instead of whatever might be working really well for you. I'm just saying that if you're in a bit of a slump, these things may help. So that said, let us dive straight in. The first thing that I would recommend taking a little look at is your diet. The relationship between our diet and our mental health is very complex, but lots of research does demonstrate that how you eat affects how you feel. The foods you eat impact the structure and function of your brain, which plays a part in emotional regulation and cognitive function. Think of your brain like an expensive car. If you get an expensive car, you're gonna put in the expensive gas, because that the premium fuel is gonna be what keeps that expensive car running best for longest. It's gonna keep it from breaking down. It's going to be the premium fuel for the premium car. Your brain is a premium car. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna look at in your diet is shifting your diet to be a more anti-inflammatory diet. There is a lot of research to suggest a link between inflammation in the body and mental health issues. As one review says, given diet's role in modulating inflammatory processes, excessive calorie-dense, nutrient-deficient processed food intake may contribute towards the heightened inflammation observed in mental illness. So one thing you can do to contribute to a more anti-inflammatory diet is ramp up your intake of omega-3s. Studies show that both EPA and DHA are key in regulating inflammation, and they do this in different ways, so getting both of them is important. And there are even some studies to suggest that increasing your intake of omega-3 can be helpful in the treatment of depression and just have a general mood stabilizing effect. So some foods that contain naturally high amounts of omega-3 include fatty fish and seafoods, so things like mackerel, herring, cod liver oil, salmon is my go-to favorite, oysters, stuff like that. And then you also have flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts are all really good sources of omega-3s. Another tip to shift your diet towards a less inflammatory diet is to just focus more on whole unprocessed foods. Studies show that a higher intake of vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, and fish is associated with a lower incidence of depression. Eating a whole food diet as opposed to a standard Western diet has been shown to decrease the risk of depression by 25 to 35%. That's not insignificant. And there are many reasons that focusing your diet around whole foods can contribute to lowering inflammation in the body. Number one, you're getting a lot more fiber intake when you are focusing your diet around fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. You're also getting in a ton of antioxidants from all of the brightly colored fruits and vegetables, which helps lessen the effect of free radicals, which cause damage to cells in your body. And again, a whole food based diet is going to naturally incorporate more omega-3s, which we just talked about. You're also getting all of the polyphenols in cherries and dark chocolate and tea and apples, etc. And you're going to be getting a lot more healthy fats from nuts and seeds and olive oil and pasteurized organic meats. And fats are so critical for brain function. Like, if you're not getting in enough healthy fats, good luck to your brain. And lastly, to decrease inflammation, you're going to want to reduce your intake of processed foods and high sugar foods. And I know this is a tricky one during the holidays with the prevalence of cookies and pie and all of the delicious things, but simply being aware of it may help. There's plenty of research that shows a link between a diet higher in processed and high sugar foods and levels of inflammation in the body. And interestingly, sugar suppresses the activity of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is critical for the health and maintenance of neurons in your brain. And BDNF is already typically lower in people who have depression, so if you're eating sugar on top of that, you're just further decreasing that. So here are some hopefully relatively easy action items that you can implement to help reduce inflammation in your body through your diet. Number 1, eat 1 to 2 cups of vegetables per day. Number 2, eat 2 servings of fatty fish per week. Number 3, eat based on colors. This is to help you get in more micronutrients, increase those polyphenols, antioxidants, etc. that I was talking about. So eat based on colors could mean kind of whatever you want it to mean. Maybe one week you focus on one color and the next week you focus on the next color. So like, this week is red week and you get all of the red foods like beets and strawberries and rutabaga. Is rutabaga red? Rhubarb. That's what I was thinking of. Then you can have an orange week where you eat more carrots and sweet potatoes, etc. You get the picture. Or you can eat based around colors like day to day, or like every day you try to eat 3 colors. Whatever rules you decide to set yourself for colors, just to eat all the colors. The goal is to just get more variety, basically. Next tip is to just keep nuts and seeds on hand to use as a snack to sprinkle into your food. You're gonna get those good healthy fats, those omega-3s, and it's gonna help with inflammation. You can also choose to cut back on sugar. You can choose to cut back on processed foods. And you can also choose to cut back on alcohol. Another critical thing to consider for your mental health is your protein intake. I feel like this one doesn't get talked about a lot when it comes to mental health and diet. Foods rich in protein contain amino acids, which help produce key neurotransmitters that reduce and treat depression and anxiety. For example, when you eat chicken, your body breaks down all the proteins in the chicken and it can synthesize an amino acid, L-tyrosine, which is key in creating dopamine. And if your dopamine is low, your brain is not gonna be having a party. Not gonna be having a good time. Likewise, poultry, fish, dairy, nuts all contain an amino acid called L-tryptophan, which is a precursor to serotonin. If you don't have enough serotonin, your brain's also not gonna be having a good time. Studies do show that eating foods rich in L-tryptophan can help improve mood and increase the efficacy of SSRIs in treating depression. So action item for this is just include a source of protein with every meal. So for breakfast, throw in a couple eggs. With dinner, make sure you're having a source of protein. Just add protein to your meals. The next big key in holistic fitness mental health is checking your gut health. More and more research is telling us that our gut is our second brain. So if your gut's not doing well, your brain's not gonna be doing well. Your gut health has a direct impact on your mental health. 95% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So if your gut's slacking, your serotonin is going to be slacking. Basically, when your gut is happy and all of the little good bacteria in there are throwing a party and they're happy, it's gonna send a signal to your brain to also be throwing a party. I don't know why throw a party is my go-to metaphor for this video, but I can't imagine the good bacteria in my gut throwing a party. So maybe it kind of works out. But basically, if your gut bacteria are happy, it's gonna send a signal to your brain and tell your brain like, yeah, everything's good here. Like, we can chill, we can have a good time. And so your brain's gonna be like, cool, we're good. So action items for improving gut health include basically everything that I've listed already is going to very strongly support your gut health, but also adding in fermented foods. You could aim for 1 serving of fermented foods per day. That'd be a great place to start. My go-to is kombucha, or I like to throw a little sauerkraut in with my dinner. Also probiotics. You could eat probiotic rich foods, which tend to be fermented foods, or you could just take a probiotic supplement. I recommend seed. And then lastly, making sure you're getting enough fiber can be very helpful for feeding all of those happy little gut bacteria in your gut. And at this point, you might be thinking, Marissa, all that sounds great. I totally wish I could do all that. Like, that'd be cool. But my mental health is not in a place where I can think about all of that, take all of that time, like prepping all of that food, meal planning to make sure I get all of that stuff in, and I get it. it can be overwhelming, especially when you're in a state where you're already struggling with your mental health. And this is why I've decided to partner with Green Chef on this video, because I genuinely think this is one of the best solutions to be able to do a lot of the things that I recommend doing and not have it be super mentally taxing to try to implement all of those things by yourself. It's the perfect like bridge to do all the things without having to think about all the things. For those of you who don't know, Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic meal kit company that helps bring like delicious and clean dinners to your doorstep. The meal kit comes with very easy to understand step-by-step recipes. It comes with pre-measured, perfectly proportioned ingredients, lots of like pre-made, pre-measured sauces and spices, which I personally think is the best thing about Green Chef. Like, they are always to die for, and just I fall in love with every single Green Chef dish, I think, because their sauces and spices are just phenomenal. I don't know what kind of magic they're working back in their like ingredient testy kitchen, however they come up with the sauces and stuff, but it's amazing. Green Chef makes cooking so easy, so you can spend less time stressing, less time having to like plan ahead, think about what you're gonna get at the grocery store, wonder what you're gonna do with the other 3/4 of the cabbage that you got for this one recipe. That happens to me all the time. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but I always want to add cabbage, and then I don't want to buy an entire thing of cabbage, because who can use an entire freaking head of cabbage? Anyway, cabbage stresses me out. But with Green Chef, if you only need 1/4 of a cabbage, they're only gonna send you 1/4 of a cabbage, so you don't have to stress. You can just prep the stuff, spend less time thinking about it and more time like enjoying time with friends and family, focusing on other things that are going to help you overall be more balanced and feel better and less anxious. But also, Green Chef ticks a lot of the boxes that I've already talked about. It comes with a wide variety of ingredients that are always changing week to week, so you're gonna get all those wide variety of vegetables and colors and some seafood thrown in there and some high quality protein. And a lot of the recipes come with very like unique farm fresh ingredients that you wouldn't necessarily think to buy for yourself in the store. So again, it'll get you more variety, but it has things like figs and dates and artichokes. I love me a good artichoke, but do I ever really buy them myself? No. And they also have options for every lifestyle. So they have keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, fast and fit, gluten-free, you name it, they can accommodate it. And a side note, if you are interested in trying a keto diet, which making an entire video about the benefits of keto for mental health it's a whole other thing. But if you have been looking into trying a keto diet, they're doing Keto Kickoff 2023, where you can order a keto breakfast and dinner and get that as like a meal kit. So if you are thinking about trying out keto, it'll make it a lot easier for you. But I personally have been using Green Chef for years. I absolutely love the variety. I love that it's made me fall in love with foods that I never thought I would ever be able to enjoy, like shrimp. Used to hate shrimp, then I got a Green Chef box that gave me shrimp, and I was like, I guess I might as well try it, and I tried it, and now I like shrimp because it was that good. I love the variety. I love that it's whole and processed foods. I love that cooking dinner is so freaking easy when you have a Green Chef box, and like you get gourmet meals with so little cook time. Like, it just makes my life so much easier, which is why I wanted to recommend them in this video, because it ticks like all of my boxes and it makes it easier to tick all of the boxes, which is the whole point of this video. So if you do want to check out Green Chef, which I obviously highly recommend, you can use my code FitAndNerdy60 to get yourself 60% off plus free shipping. You can go to greenchef.com for more details. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. I recommend. Check it out. Another thing that you can do to contribute to boosting your overall mental health is social eating. Eat with a friend, eat with family, eat with a roommate. Eating meals with other people has many psychological, social, and biological benefits. When two people interact, this activates something in your brain called mirror neurons, where the neurons basically understand what the other person is doing and can mirror, and this leads to co-regulation. So what this kind of translates to is if the other person is in a like very good, happy place, and that is coming through in their expression and their tone and everything, your brain is going to register that and partially be able to mirror that, kind of. It's a very simplified version of what's happening, but basically, if you're around other people that are happy and positive, it is going to help make you more happy and positive. So basically, when you choose to bond together over a meal with another person, you're making key decisions that can help actually regulate your emotions and your brain's interpretation of what's going on around you. Action item for that, I already said, eat dinner with a friend, a roommate, family, etc. someone. Next thing is caffeine. Caffeine can worsen anxiety. Significant positive associations have been found between caffeine intake and anxiety and depression. Basically, the more caffeine you have, the more anxiety and depression you are likely to develop. So action item here would be to reduce caffeine intake slowly, or go cold turkey if you want. But if you want to see more about how I quit caffeine temporarily and majorly scaled back my caffeine intake, you can watch my video on I quit caffeine for 30 days. I talk about how I very slowly scaled back so that I wouldn't get any of the negative withdrawal effects. And I know this might sound horrifying to so many people, the idea of letting go of your morning coffee, but if you are experiencing any amount of anxiety, caffeine easily could be making it a lot worse than it needs to be. The next thing to focus on is movement. I feel like it's pretty common knowledge by now that exercise gives you a boost for your mental health. Exercising releases chemicals like endorphins and serotonin that can help boost your mood. Studies show that exercise can treat mild to moderate depression as effectively as antidepressants. As one example, a recent study was done that demonstrated that running for 15 minutes a day or walking for an hour reduces the risk of major depression by 26%. In addition to relieving depression symptoms, research also shows that maintaining an exercise schedule can prevent you from relapsing. Exercise promotes all kinds of positive changes in the brain, including new neuronal growth, reduced inflammation, new activity patterns that can help bring a better sense of calm and more stable mood. Basically, exercise is medicine. So some action items here include incorporate 30 minutes of movement into your day. It doesn't have to be intense exercise, especially if you are in a place where, you are struggling more with your mental health, and the idea of, doing hard working out at the gym for like 30 minutes to an hour is just very overwhelming. Like, it doesn't have to be that. It could be a 30-minute walk. It could be 30 minutes of stretching, 30 minutes of yoga, 30 minutes of resistance training would be very beneficial for your mental health. But again, you don't have to start with that. Or alternatively, another action item could be just increasing movement throughout the day and like preventing a sedentary lifestyle by setting an alarm for every 1 to 2 hours. And then every time it goes off, just move for 5 minutes. Like, get up, walk around your house, do some stretching, do like a 5-minute yoga flow, like whatever feels good for you, just move a little bit, get the blood flowing every 1 to 2 hours. Another very, very important thing to focus on is sleep. An irregular circadian rhythm can very, very easily lead to a decline in mental health. There's a lot of research to show the connection between mood dysregulation and circadian rhythm dysregulation that comes from studies done on shift workers. Multiple studies show an increased prevalence of depression in night shift workers. One meta-analysis showed that night shift workers are 40% more likely to develop depression than daytime workers. Nurses with shift work score higher for anxiety on questionnaires. There's a study done on jet lag where they took people who were getting jet lagged by flying to different time zones, and they found that the travelers had elevated anxiety and depression scores. Basically, a lot of evidence to support that if you want to optimize your mental health, you need to be going to sleep at a consistent time. So, action item for this: go to bed at a consistent time every night. This includes weekends. This is where most people mess up. Going to bed 3 hours late every weekend is basically like giving yourself jet lag every week. This next thing is one thing that I personally see some of the most benefit from, and maybe that's because I do a lot of the other things regularly anyway, so this is more something that when I focus on it, I notice a big difference, and when I fall off, I notice a big difference, and that is exposure to sunlight. There's 2 big reasons to get yourself out in the sun. Number 1 is your vitamin D levels. Rates of depression are higher in people with vitamin D deficiency compared to people who have adequate levels of vitamin D. And there are some small but high quality studies that show that when people have symptoms of depression and they start getting their vitamin D levels up, the symptoms start to decrease. And another reason to get yourself out in the sun is for the boost in serotonin. When we see direct sunlight, not like direct like looking at the sun, but like when you're outside and there is sun, it goes through your eyes, obviously, and it activates a certain area of your retina. And activation of this area triggers release of serotonin. So without sun exposure, your serotonin levels can dip. And again, your brain will not be having a party if your serotonin levels dip. So action item for this is get outside for 5 to 15 minutes a day. For serotonin, it does not matter if it's cloudy. Your eyes still perceive the sunlight outside. So don't come at me with them, Marissa, I live in a place where it's always cloudy, there is no sun. Like, your eyes still, they still see the sun. So get outside, put on your winter coat, go stand there for 5 minutes, walk around, take a little walk, get some movement in at the same time. It'll be great. To help with vitamin D levels, you are gonna wanna go out more around midday for 5 to 15 minutes, and ideally it will be less cloudy, but even with clouds, you will still get some amount of vitamin D. As a note, to get vitamin D from the sun, it has to be bare skin. Like if you're wearing long sleeves or if you're wearing sunscreen, you're not gonna get the vitamin D benefits. So if you come at me saying, Marissa, it's negative 32 degrees outside, I can't go outside in the sun with my arms exposed, I will say, fair. Please don't do that. Please don't get hypothermia. Stay inside. Take a vitamin D supplement instead. Next thing to do is check your hormones. If depression, anxiety, any other mood disturbances are at all coming in sync with your menstrual cycle, chances are if you get your hormones in check, it's going to help resolve that a lot. I just did a whole video on tips that I have to balance your hormones, so if this rings true for you at all, I recommend checking that video out. I'll link it down below. And then lastly, this is less of like a fitness tip, but like it has to do with fitness because it helps mental health, and mental health has to do with fitness anyway. Cut back on social media. We all know social media is just a toxic wasteland that just saps all of your dopamine. There's plenty of research to show us that it's not positive for mental health. I'm not gonna get into that here because I feel like we all understand. We all know, you know? So action item here could be delete like Instagram and TikTok during work hours so that you have a good like 9 hours of your day that you're not going to be looking at any social media. Or you could delete the apps during non-work hours so that if you're checking Instagram, you know, you're like low-key doing it when you should be working, so you aren't actually gonna be able to scroll that much. But when you're home is your sanctuary. Your home is not to be disturbed by the toxic wasteland that is social media. Or, you know, get one of those apps that like blocks you from the apps. I haven't used those. I don't know how they work. I'm sure that exists though. So those are my big tips. I'll put all the action items on screen right here so that if you want to screenshot it to reference it really quickly at any point in the future, you can. Bonus tip, hug your cat. Again, this video is not meant to diagnose or treat any sort of mental illness. These are just my top tips that will help boost your mood during this dark holiday season where we have less daylight and people are probably very stressed because of the holidays. You're being so cute. Oh, hi. If you guys have any other tips, please feel free to share them in the comments so that we can all read them and learn from them and all can experience better mental health together. And again, make sure you check out Green Chef. Use my code FitAndNerdy60 to get yourself 60% off plus free shipping. Link is greenchef.com. I'll link that down below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up because it really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, and your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. See future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Ow. Hey, can we say bye? Can we say bye? No, let go. And I will see you very soon. Bye. Cleo, say bye.